welcome everyone to the 2M Talking Change interview series. In this series, we hear from culturally and linguistically diverse and migrant voices who have achieved success beyond linguistic and societal barriers and are now inspiring Australia's population. Today, 2M's Head of Cold and Language Access, Grace, and I are speaking with Keyma Vasquez. Keyma appeared on this year's MasterChef season and stood out for her introducing the judges to and viewers to Venezuelan food. She's now showing women, mothers, and migrants that it is possible to achieve their dreams. Keyma, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Rhian. I'm really happy to be here today.
Yeah, we're very pleased to have you. So, Keyma, you immigrated from Venezuela to Australia around 11 years ago. So, my question to you is, what sparked your interest to immigrate to Australia? And was Australia always the place that you had in mind?
I guess having so many problems in the country, I don't know if you're aware with all the political and economical problems that we deal with in Venezuela. We started to just look for a country that will just actually give us the opportunity to come with our family and grow and achieve our dreams, I guess, and to feel secure, basically, to feel safe. And we had a couple of options because my husband is half Italian. So we were looking into Italy as well, but there were some issues in terms of how long will be take us to settle into the country, because you have to learn the language and you have to re-study like a year before you can actually work in your field. So I guess when we're looking into migration, I guess processes, Australia was quite straightforward. It took us quite a while though. We took 4 years to get our permanent visa, but we did it all from Venezuela, and it was we had a migration agency, and they helped a lot with all the process, and it felt right, I guess. So we study English in Venezuela, so it's kind of our second language in the country. So it's the main language that all people study while they're in the high school, and like primary and high school to our high school is the language we study. So it was quite, I guess, the right all for us. So basically, we're just looking for a country that will give us more opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure with English being one of the main languages that you learn, that would have made the whole process a little bit easier, I can imagine.
Yeah, but it wasn't always easy, I guess, because you think you know certain English until you arrive here and then you realize that it's actually, you need to learn a lot more, because obviously in a Spanish-speaking country, what we learn is very basic, I guess. So when we got here, it's just all about learning and kind of adapting to the new culture and the words that were so different as well.
Oh yeah, I can imagine it was a large learning curve, but you've made it now. So can you share a little bit more about your background with us? Like, how was it like for you growing up? I imagine also food played a major role in the culture and the society and family. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess I don't know if you know many Latin communities, but I feel that Latin communities are really all about joyful gatherings and family. So I grew up surrounded by cousins, my grandma and my grandparents. And it was all about food, obviously. So every time there was a birthday party, there was a huge event, like someone graduated, we will just throw out a party, and obviously we were always like planning for that feast, I guess. And I have a huge family, like from mother's side is like 6, 7 aunties and uncles, and all of them they're foodies. So every time we would just sit at the table, we were just talking about food. How did you make it? What did you put in it? And it was always, I was always surrounded about I was always surrounded around international food. So although I grew up in Venezuela, I think my family had that spark for researching about international food and bringing some of those. Well, I mean, we used to eat stroganoff, and which is not Latin at all, and I guess it just grew in me. I mean, I've seen all my family so enthusiastic in terms of food, and my mom, she was constantly cooking for us. My grandma and my aunties were always cooking something beautiful and sharing with us. I guess I grew up since little, just surrounded by people that love to cook, love to eat, and they gave me like an open door to the kitchen as well. So my mom, since a very early age, she said, well, here's the kitchen, you can do whatever. So that was I guess my hobby while I was growing up. So since I was 10, I was already cooking, baking, and doing biscuits and making a lot of yummy stuff for all the family.
Sounds amazing.
Lovely to hear your passion for food, and you talk about it being a hobby, but in terms of as a career, you actually left a career in engineering to pursue more creative career opportunities. So I was wondering, did you feel pressure from family or society initially to explore a traditional career path?
Yeah, definitely. I guess back in the time in Venezuela, technical careers were the thing that you had to go through. I was never encouraged to actually pursue something I love. By the time I chose my career, I was into dancing. So I danced to 6 years ballet and all different classical dances, and I was never told to go and become a dancer. And same with the cooking. I would cook all the time, but no one was seeing in me that passion. So at the end, my family, my mom and my dad, they're both engineers, and I have uncles that are lawyers and doctors. So I think it was the society expectation of you to study something technical. And at the end, I just decided to go to uni. Same passion to do anything, because that's the way I am. But obviously, at some point, you realize that that's not your call. And at some point, I had just to make a break for me to become a mom as well. So I was a mom, and once I decided to have my babies, I decided to just create a space for my family to support them, especially because we were migrating. So my kids were really small when we got here. So my daughter was 1, and I just decided to stay at home to become that supporting, I guess, pillar in the house. But then obviously you always constantly have that little spark in you saying that there's something more you can explore. And at some point I had to make a decision as well, whether I will become an engineer again, continue in that path, because my kids are growing. So I wanted to be part of the society again, be part of, I've always been independent. So just get back to work. And you have to make a decision when you get back into what you used to do, or you do something else that actually makes you happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And was that the turning point for you, I guess, after becoming a mum, when you decided, that was the moment that you were going to pursue something non-conventional, and, kind of your journey to get to that point?
I guess it wasn't a moment in time. For me, it all started when I migrated. I guess when I came here, seeing the culture, learning from this culture, and seeing that occupations also have a great opportunity in this country to do great stuff and to fulfill you as a career, and see that many people pursue not only technical careers but also occupations, and they do well and they're successful in it. And as I just started just questioning myself as well. What am I doing in life? And obviously I had all this time where I had to think about myself, and then COVID came in. And I guess many of us had the same realization while we were in lockdown. just questioning about your life, what to do in the future, where do I go from here? Because there's a crisis in the world, and I'm doing something I don't love. So I guess for me, it was about making decisions that would actually resonate with me at the time. And I had that little voice from my kids saying, Mom, you should apply to MasterChef, because I love the show and I love to cook. So to them, I mean, they're children and they see it differently than us. We're always constantly thinking about money, thinking about what if, and they just see it simple. I mean, you cook, you look this, why don't you do it? And I guess I just followed their voice, my instincts, and I just decided to apply. And from there, obviously, when you do something with passion and with love, everything it just evolved, and it was just beautiful. I didn't really have an expectation of what I was doing at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Yeah, it really does. And it seems like the decision to follow your kids' advice really paid off in this situation. So it's fantastic to see how you've evolved over your time, especially in MasterChef. It's been incredible to watch you. So you've now lived in Australia with your family for around 11 years. So we'd love to know what your experience has been like so far, and how it's compared actually to what your expectations were when you first arrived.
Obviously, it's so different from my country, and I have to overcome a lot of challenges, not just the language, but the cultural challenges that come with you migrating to a completely different country. When I came here, I came obviously thinking this was the answer to all our, I guess, questions, and to be in, I guess, many things. You have a lot of expectations when you come to a new country, and then you realize that you still have to work, you still have to, do all the things you do at your country to become successful, to settle and raise a family, but in a different, I guess, perspective. And for me, it was all about opening myself into the experience and learning from the culture and the community itself. I guess for me, it's been just growth since I came here, and it was accelerated in terms of in a way that I don't think I will grow so fast and so so huge growth in 10 years, 11 years, if I will stay in my country, because you settle for your life, and I guess you don't challenge yourself. So when you migrate, you're constantly forced to do things on your own, to challenge yourself every day, to take risk. So I guess that's been my life the whole 11 years. Just it's been a huge accelerated growth, and it's been amazing. I can't be more happy from all that I've actually overcome and achieved so far.
Yeah, very well said. And yeah, very glad to hear that you've had such a positive experience, and you touched on the cultural diversity a bit, and we know how MasterChef showcases both the cultural and the culinary diversity. So would love to hear you talk a bit more about how you found your time on the show, what your mindset was going in, and if you knew what you wanted to get out of the show, if you achieved that, or anything took you by surprise. Yeah, your key takeaways.
Yeah, well, I guess with MasterChef, for me, it was another turning point, same as when I migrated here. So it was like going into an experience that I wasn't really aware of what I would kind of achieve with the experience. To me, it was a leap of faith. The same as when I came here as a migrant, I didn't know what to expect. And I didn't know what was going to be the future out of it. For me, it was just pursuing something I loved. And I think when you go into an experience with no expectation is when you're actually more open to learn from the experience. So for me, each week was a new week, and it was amazing myself about, oh wow, I can do this. So I guess my main outcome I wanted to achieve with MasterChef was to reassure myself that I could actually follow that dream and prove myself into a different environment, into the cooking environment. And so each week that I could advance into the show, for me it was like, oh wow, so I can actually do it, and I'm good at it. And I was just kind of believing in myself each time a little bit more. And then at the moment, I just, even though I didn't get to, that prize, I know I can pursue a career in this. I know that my food is good, but that my food has a place in here, because I decided to explore the Latin American diversity in food, not only Venezuela, and I created other dishes that were showcasing Latin American flavors that was so. The reaction, how will they actually accept it, the food. So for me, it was a reassurance that I can do this for long and in the future, and I do it well. So obviously a lot of learning opportunities as well. I mean, there's a lot of resilience that I built throughout the show, because there's a lot of pressure involved in these kind of competitions, or the friendships opening to, I mean, I get to know the culture even closer, because while living in Australia for such a long time, I had friends, but not in that environment. It was like a group all together living for 6 months together or 3 months together, and then you get to know them deeply in that core, where you see the differences between Latin Americans, crazy people, and then the Australian manner, and then you learn from that. Definitely. So for me, is coming out of on the other side as a completely different person, not only being more confident, more resilient, but also I guess rich in terms of what I've learned from other people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's lovely to hear. And as you said, it really was a risk to not only go on MasterChef, but also to move to Australia in the first place. And through those experiences over the 11 years, you've really built yourself your own platform that you can use to inspire others. So I think one of our burning questions now is, what is next for you? What goals do you have in mind? Where do you want to take your career now?
Hopefully, after all these, I can inspire more people to follow their dreams, and to know that there's no age and no barriers into that you want to achieve. You have to just put your mind into it. It doesn't take one night. It took me 11 years to get to where I am, but you have to kind of follow that gut feeling as well, and believe in yourself. But at the same time, I guess I want my story to inspire mothers and migrants, and I want Australians as well to know more about Latin communities and Latin food and Latin culture. So I hope I can collaborate with restaurants, organizations like you guys, to be able to speak out, because I feel a Latin American community in Australia is a really small one. We are a minority in the country, and I think if I have the I guess the right to probably speak up for that community, it will be into educating people about our culture a little bit more. So if I can do that through food, through interviews, through a book maybe, so I will just look for the avenues to actually express what we Latin Americans are all about, and it's all about joyful, amazing culture, amazing flavors, and colorful flavors. So hopefully I can do that in from now on. So I started doing that already with some restaurants. I've been collaborating with them and creating set menus for people to come and experience Latin American from a different perspective, not just what we see in the street. It's not just street food, it can be beautiful and diverse as well. But I hope to do that a lot more.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds fantastic. And I think we'll definitely be watching you and supporting you as well in your endeavors from here. So yeah, thank you so much for joining this interview. It's been fantastic to speak to you and hear a little bit more about your experience and what you have next, and also to learn a little bit more about the Latin American culture as well. So thank you from both Grace and I, and everybody who's watching. Thanks so much for joining us on this interview.